the coronavirus pandemic. It's the reason your grandma keeps saying you filled out whenever she hugs you. Ever since the vaccine came out, Americans have been looking forward to the day when the country will achieve herd immunity, which is when a disease dies out because enough of the population has either been vaccinated or previously infected, or COVID just doesn't feel safe around them. But now, it seems like people are going to have to wait a lot longer than they thought.
In the fight against COVID-19, this is a headline no one wants to see. Quote, reaching herd immunity is unlikely in the United States, experts now believe. One biologist even telling the New York Times, quote, the virus is unlikely to go away.
Vaccine hesitancy remains a very real issue, threatening the country's chances at achieving herd immunity. Scientists believe the virus will, quote, likely become a manageable threat that will continue to circulate in the United States for years to come, still causing hospitalizations and deaths, but in much smaller numbers.
You know, honestly, in these divided times, it's just great to see all Americans coming together to fail at something so easily achievable. But yeah, thanks to the many people who refuse to take a life-saving vaccine, experts now think that coronavirus is basically going to become one of those antivirus pop-ups. You know, we're going to minimize it, but we'll never really delete it. And let me just say this, if you can get vaccinated, but you haven't yet, well, this should be all the incentive you need. Because you don't want to be getting corona 10 years from now. I mean, think about it. Not only could you die, but you'll be getting roasted for being out of date.
Oh my God, you got COVID? That's so chuggy. Everyone's dying from snake flu now.
And yes, this is the fault of anti-vaxxers. But one thing that definitely isn't helping is the media. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, the media loves running stories about the few people who are having adverse reactions to the vaccine. Oh, man got a vaccine, now his foot is sore. Oh, woman got a vaccine, now she forgot it's Thursday. Because even though those cases are a tiny minority, those are the stories that people want to hear the most, right? Local news isn't running stories about how all the people with no side effects are having a fine time, because let's be honest, that news just wouldn't sell.
Thank you, Pam. Breaking news. I am outside the house of a man who received the vaccine earlier this week and is completely fine. Right now, he is in that room eating dinner with his family. And by all, it looks like he's seen me. I'm going to have to leave now.
But even without herd immunity, society is bound to start reopening. So, over in the UK, researchers are trying to figure out what kind of events people can go to without causing the virus to start spreading out of control again. And the way they're trying to figure it out, just maybe the greatest science experiment of all time.
Live music is starting to make a comeback in some places as a way to track coronavirus progress. The English city of Liverpool hosted a one-off music festival yesterday to test whether such events spread the virus. About 5,000 people ditched face coverings and social distancing rules to attend the outdoor event, and they just had to test negative for COVID first and agree to follow-up test in 5 days. Data from the festival will be used by the government's events research program to help understand the effects of crowds on the spread of the virus. And the festival's organizer says he hopes the project will help get outdoor events back on the calendar this year.
Oh yeah, a concert. Now that's my kind of medical experiment. Oh, Louis Pasteur and that bullshit with a dog. The best part of it is no one caught COVID. But sadly, 100 people did come down with EDM. But that's right. Thousands of people showed up to a concert, and the purpose was to see if they would catch COVID. Which, let's be honest, doesn't seem like a real idea, right? That seems like something Ja Rule would do and be like, yeah, I mean, that happened. You didn't get it, right? Fire! And if you ask me, I think an experimental concert is a great idea. Not just for COVID. I mean, you can test for all sorts of things. Like you can test for the effect of constantly dropping the beat. We can finally find out, does that hurt the beat? Can the beat even feel pain? And will the beat be able to go on? But what I love the most here is how many volunteers they got to submit to medical experimentation just because they wanted to see a concert. I mean, you realize this means they could ramp up experiments on everything just based on who's performing. Can we please take your kidneys? We need to test something. What? No. We'll give you tickets to Beyonce. Oh my God, take them both. Tell Beyonce they're mine. Tell her they're my kidneys. Maybe she'll sing about them. The coronavirus vaccine, the greatest scientific achievement since the development of that secret face cream that Paul Rudd uses to stay young. What is he using? And thankfully, soon even more Americans will be able to get their hands on this miracle vaccine.
The FDA could expand COVID vaccines for 12 to 15-year-olds as early as this week. Health experts say any day now the agency is expected to authorize Pfizer's drug for that younger age group. The decision would allow middle school students and all high school students to get the shots. Pfizer says clinical trials showed the vaccine was, get this, 100% effective for 12 to 15-year-olds who have that good immunity. If authorized, that age group may start receiving the Pfizer vaccine later this month.
Wow! What great news! This is going to be a huge step forward for kids who are sick of Zoom class and want to get back to being sick of actual class. And let's be honest, this can't come soon enough, man. I mean, it is so important for the young population to get re-engaged in society. And it's so important for my self-confidence to have 5 hours in the day when I'm not getting my ass handed to me by some 9-year-old on Warzone. Go to school, Jimmy, and stop camping me, you ass! But the important thing is that this vaccine will allow teenagers to go back to doing normal teenager stuff again. You know, like going to school, seeing their friends, getting Venmo'd by Matt Gaetz. You know, the teenager life. In a sign of progress, President Biden announced a new goal of getting 70% of American adults vaccinated with at least one shot by the 4th of July, which is a pretty ambitious goal. I mean, if Biden wants to get 70%, forget releasing fireworks, he's got to release major. You can celebrate freedom from corona or freedom from your fingers. Your choice, America. So if Biden gets his wish, the worst of the pandemic may soon be behind us in America. But what's also clear is that the impact of the pandemic is going to stay with us for a really long time.
It is so long to snow days for New York City students. The Department of Education released the 2021 to 22 school calendar year, and the DOE says that it will now keep 2 practices from last year. During severe weather, students will shift to remote learning instead of canceling school, and Election Day will also be a remote instruction day.
Everybody remembers those snow days when you're a little kid. You go outside, you know, have fun in the snow and whatnot. You can't expect us to be in there on the screen all the time. That's just a little outrageous now.
That's right, kids. The bad news is snow days are over. The good news is, thanks to climate change, soon there won't be any more snow. Yeah! Oh, that's not a good thing? Honestly, I always thought it was strange that kids in America got snow days in the first place. I mean, that didn't make any sense to me. You're staying home because it's unsafe to go to school? Have you been to an American school? If the mass shooters don't get you, the asbestos will. And not to mention, Amber is so mean all the time, and I didn't do anything to her. Like, why does she always say those things?
Eating. It's one of my favorite things to do to a dead chicken. And I know it seems easy, but it's likely that you haven't eaten in public in over a year. And you might have forgotten some of the subtle differences between eating at a home and eating at a restaurant surrounded by a bunch of judgmental dickheads. That's why I'm here to help remind you how to eat in public. Tip number 1 for eating in public. It's all about posture. When eating at home, you can eat a burrito on the couch or standing over the sink or upside down in your sex swing. But in public, these are major faux pas. In fact, most restaurants won't even let you bring a sex swing into the dining area. Instead, you're going to want to use one of these, a chair. The chair was invented in 1972 by musical performing artist Cher, and it's been popular in restaurants ever since. You simply put your feet on the floor, your back on the little backrest, and your little fudge maker right in the middle of the seat. And you do that for the entire meal. Now, I know you might be saying, Jabuki, that's not how AC Slater sits. Well, you're never gonna be AC Slater. Ever. Which brings me to point number 2. Now that we know how to sit, let's focus on tip number 3, getting your order right. Ordering food at home is simple. You just use a delivery app, or you call a restaurant and scream, "Me hungry boy," until they have someone bring you some food. But ordering at a restaurant requires interacting with a waiter. And sometimes, if they're a woman, they're a lady waiter or a later. Now remember, waiters are strangers, but it's not like at home. Strangers approaching you at a restaurant is completely normal. So, when you see them, do not hide and do not spray them with bear mace. Do, however, make friendly conversation with them. And if they seem trustworthy, do buy Molly from them. All right, let's move on to our final tip for eating in public. Don't forget to chew. Chewing is when you smash your teeth together with food in your mouth, and it's something that is only done in public as a way of making your meal take longer so you can ask other people, hey, how's work going? I recommend following the 3 B's. Bite your food until it is a finely ground mush. Breathe at least once in between bites, and bitch, take your time. It's not a race. And that's basically how to eat in public. Enjoy your return to restaurants, and remember, you don't have to pay for meals anymore. I'm pretty sure that was in the Joe Biden Corona bill. All right, bye now.